Hello, and welcome to the Strategic Alignment Podcast. This program is all about providing leaders and managers with meaningful insights on how to optimize business results by aligning their people strategy to their business strategy. Our goal is to support you as you rise to the challenges of complex. Hello, and welcome to the Strategic Alignment Podcast.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing? This is your man, Jamie Pottinger, speaker, coach, and trainer with the John Maxwell team and talent optimization expert with Pottingers and Associates. And I'm so excited to be here with you today. And I have with me none other than a friend, a leader, a mentor, a motivator. He is the healthy accountant. And, over 20 years in the business of helping leaders, of helping businesses, just helping people finding their way when it comes down to financial leadership. And many times when we talk about financial leadership, we think that, hey, if I don't have the knack for it, I should not do it. But many of us end up living impoverished lives as leaders, as business owners, as parents, because guess what? We fail to exercise the practice or the best practice of financial leadership. So today, without any further ado, wherever you are, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever you're watching us from, share with a friend so they could join us, because we have in the building none other than the healthy accountant, Mr. Jay Moore himself. And one, I must say to you guys, the first time I had a deep conversation with him about finances, I'm going to be honest, it kept me up the entire night, because we talked about some simple stuff on Sunday Prep on Instagram. And when we were finished, I had to say to my wife, guess what? We have to change the way we do things, because he dropped some nuggets on me whereby I know I could not afford to get them elsewhere. So today I'm so excited. Get your pens and your paper wherever you are. And we're going to be having a conversation with Jay Moore himself. And this is a Strategic Alignment Podcast where we give tips and strategies to lead yourself to your best self, whether you're a leader, whether you're leading up, down, or leading across, or even if you're leading yourself, this is where it's at. So welcome, Jay Moore. Without any further ado, I'd like for you to share a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you help, and the community that you serve.
Hey, I'm excited to be here, Jamie, man. This is an exciting day, just being able to connect with you, come on and be a part of this Strategic Alignment Podcast. I want to just thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here tonight. And man, just a little bit about me. I'm just a humble servant, grew up in a little city called Newark, New Jersey, live in, the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, have a wife. My beautiful wife, been married for 21, going on 22 years, man. We've got two beautiful sons, 18 and 15. He's the 18 about to go off to college. I'm excited that I'm their dad. And I'm excited that I was chosen to lead them, right? Because your family is first. You got to lead your family, lead yourself. So I'm excited because, look, I'm not a guru of anything except being a guru of myself. So tonight, what I want to share, what I want your listeners to know about me is that, look, whatever you hear on this podcast, whatever you hear me say, go check it out for yourself. Like, don't say just because I said it means that you have to listen to it. So yes, I have a CPA, certified public accountant. Yes, I've done those things. Yes, I've been in business for the past, almost 20 years. But here's the thing. We all make mistakes. And I've made mine. I've made a share of them. But here's the thing. When you make mistakes, Jamie always says, man, a setup is always, just that opportunity to come back from that setup, right? So I'm excited because when you make a mistake, what you get is a learning opportunity. I learned some things about finances. I learned some things about business that I thought that everybody needed to know about. And it was wrapped up inside of taxes, right? Here it is. I went to school for taxes, went to school for accounting, didn't know how powerful it was until I made some serious mistakes in my own life, in my own business. And then I said, wait a second, look at all this information. Let us now get out into the world, show the earliest stage business owner that we could find, which is early stage entrepreneurs, is who we ultimately want to help. Yes, we can help people who are already down the road. But the early stage, the people who are starting out, the people who are going from $0 to $250,000, typically those are the people we got to get to first. And so we want to help those individuals. It helps if you have a mission of your own, right? Because we're mission driven.
Mm-hmm.
We are totally mission driven. Our job is to become the best versions of ourselves. And so if you are mission driven and you want to do these things, then we could definitely help you do some things with your accounting, taxes, finances, change the way you think about how you look at your business so that you can ultimately get to your mission and do the thing that you were created to do.
Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful. And I want to say this, as you said that, I can remember, just sometimes when we think about our skills, when we think about our talents, when we think about what we do, we forget about that important part in terms of the finances. And I think Zig Ziglar said it, that people said cold, hard cash. But Zig said that there's nothing cold and hard about cash. He said there's everything nice about cash and having it and using it in the right way. And many of us make mistakes in terms of thinking that not because we are not business people in terms of being CPAs and stuff like that, we should not think about financial leadership. So my first question to you this evening, Jay, is why is financial leadership important? Why is it important for us to practice financial leadership? And why is it that if you're leading, whether yourself, an organization, or starting out a business, why is financial leadership a part of your primary responsibility? Because you know that a number of organizations and businesses fail in the thousands on a yearly basis, and that's one of the main reasons. So why is financial leadership such an important thing for leaders and for entrepreneurs and you name it?
Man, that's a great question, Jamie. And so financial leadership is interesting, right? Because all of us wake up every day, right? And what do? We head off towards increasing our finances, right? Every day we go to work, we're doing those things that can bring back finances to our homes to help us to do the things that we have to do, pay bills, right? But here's the thing. Most of us, one, didn't learn some of the basics. And so, which is, don't spend more than you have. Like, that's like one of the first rules. Don't spend more than you have. And I can tell you, there was a time in my life when I spent more than I had, because I might have been over leveraged. I may have had too many credit cards and things of that nature. So financial leadership is just like understanding that the basis of finances is, what is it that I need to do? And am I doing that thing to get me to where I want to go? Most of us answer the question and say, well, you know what? I'm working my job and man, I need another job. And man, I need to side this and I need to side that. If we were to just do one thing and ask one question about, okay, if finances are so important, what is it that I could do that I could lead myself into better finances? That was one of those questions that I had to ask myself, right? Look, everything starts with you. One of the things that I have learned is how to account for my own life. I have a podcast. It's called Account for Your Life, because I realized that it wasn't money or finances that I needed. I needed to account for the one life I had, which was, okay, I'm Jay Moore. Who is that guy? What's already in me that I don't have to go to school for? Look, I did not go back to school to learn a lot of things that I know how to do today. Look, I got my accounting degree that set me up. So I needed my accounting degree for the Account for Your Life mission, because it's a play on accounting. It's a play on accountability, right? Account. So if we were to understand our own personal life in depth, if I were to ask you, Jamie, who are you? Like who were you created to be? And I like to ask people this question. Who are you created to be? Do you even know? What's your purpose? And it seems cliche, but it's not. Because just like a car, think about a car, right? Why was a car created? So it can be driven, period. The car was created to be driven. Why was this body, this person created? Was I created merely to be someone who crunches numbers only? No. So financial leadership just comes back to, okay, what do I need to do to lead myself within my own finances. And this has nothing to do with business, guys. Like business is like, that's extra. Look, there are people that don't have businesses that have led themselves financially, and they're actually doing really good, because it doesn't require you to have a business. So if you don't have a business, I'm not going to say, well, you have to have a business in order to become financially, not even stable, but financially free. You could be an entrepreneur, you can work a job, you can be financially free when you do some basic things. Now, if you want to accelerate, if you want to take advantage of things called taxes, then you're going to want to have a business in order to do that. So financial leadership starts with pretty much you saying to yourself, who was I created to be? What can I do so that I can start moving towards this, I guess, real path that I'm on, which is most of us just have to discover it. And if I didn't discover my own path, Jamie, I wouldn't be here. There's no way I'm on the Strategic Alignment podcast. Wow. Because if you would have known me 10 years ago, I wouldn't have had anything to say except, I had accounting and taxes. I didn't really have anything. I was a shell of a person. But over the past 10 years, I turned 40 almost 10 years ago. And it was at that moment that I realized, let me straighten up a little bit. Everything has fallen apart, right? Look, I was in the 2008 meltdown, right? Yeah. So I know firsthand what that's like to, I had some properties that I purchased, lost those, kept the primary property, lost the business because I was a mortgage broker, lost that business because I was not strategically aligned. Wow. I was not moving in an aligned place of my own life. So here I was an accountant, but you couldn't really listen to me because I'm just giving you the theory terms, I'm just giving you the basic debits and credits. I didn't really have any depth. I had not gone in for myself to see how could I take advantage of the tax code, right? How could I make a change in my business so that my business actually starts to project up, right? How could I become a magnet for individuals, more successful individuals, to start seeing me and wanting to connect with me? How could I do that? These weren't questions that I asked myself because I didn't know to ask. So, see, financial leadership it's just short to say, you know what? It's not about anybody else. It's just about you. And if we were to take ownership, you got to take ownership, right? If we take ownership of our own life, finances, come on, man, that's the easy part. I'm telling you.
So Jay, you're saying then that many times we have it wrong, whereby we're looking to manage our finances in terms of leadership and finances, but we have failed to manage ourselves. And as a result of that, if we're managing ourselves, finance is just a component of the entire picture that we're managing.
Finances, think of it like this. All right. Think of it like this. If there was a circle, right? Let's just think of a circle, and you are the circle, right? But then there's all these components around the circle. There's business, there's family, there's personal finances, there's your church, your community, there's your health, there's all of these components, right? Business, money, finances are just one piece of it. That's if we were looking to be, if you wanted to be wealthy, you just don't start with, oh, I need a bunch of money to be wealthy. It's how does Warren Buffett think he's wealthy? Bill Gates think he's wealthy, right? How did Steve Jobs think he's wealthy? What did they do? They created the idea that they came up with. Wow. So think of it like this. We all have an idea, but what happens is we don't believe that our ideas are anything. So a wealthy person, what they focused on was the idea. A rich person focused on just doing tactics all the time, just to kind of make more money. And then the person who is in that other group, the poor group, all they did was focused on working. Focused on working, trading their time for money. and they never got to the place where they trusted their own judgment about their ideas.
Wow.
So the wealth, remember, the wealth is in the earthen vessel, right? That's what the word says. The earthen vessel is what is most valuable to God. So if we were to look inside, wait, I'm valued more than any dollar. Come on, let's think about it. Okay, if I'm worth more than any dollar, more than any amount of money inside of a bank that could be in a bank account, that means I have that and more already. Now, it's not that everybody's going to be like millionaire and just have a lot of money. No, everybody is not supposed to be that way. Everybody that's not going to happen. You get to a place where whatever you need to do based on what's inside of you, that's already been set up. So if this podcast, look, let me ask you a question, Jamie. Was this podcast available 5 years ago?
Nah, wasn't.
Was the Strategic Alignment Podcast created 5 years ago?
Nope.
Okay, let's go back further. Was the Strategic Alignment Podcast created 10 years ago?
No, wasn't.
Was it thought of?
I guess it was, yeah.
So it was thought of, but it was thought of before the thought.
Yep.
So before you thought of it, in the reality of life, it was already created. So you had to get the notion of something. You start having this feeling, you start doing stuff, and you was like, wait a second. Then one day, Strategic Alignment Podcast, we're going to do this thing. And all of a sudden, you have created it, but that idea was stored in you from the beginning.
That's
So
true.
So if we were to just look at finances, because let's look at finances now. If finances are a part of our life and there's something for you to do, don't you think the finances go with it?
Yeah. Ooh. So you're saying then, Jay, that many times the reason why we struggle, whether through leadership or individually when it comes down to finances, is because we don't see it as an entire picture. We see it as something outside. We see it as an addition to ourselves, and we see it as something that is not really a responsibility. And that leads me to this question: what really happens to people who fail to recognize? So some folks, they may say that I need to eat healthy.
Oh man,
I need to take care of my family.
Yeah.
I need to get a job. I need to get a house. But they don't recognize the importance of that ring in that circle, which is finances, in their personal life, in their leadership, in their business. What are some of the pitfalls that they find themselves? And even before you answer that question, you said something that I can't miss, Jay. You know, if you drop a nugget, I'm going to take it up.
Yes.
You're not going to grab that
Yes,
bad
sir.
boy.
Yes, sir.
But you said something, and I think Napoleon Hill, one of those guys, talked about acres of diamond. And many times we are sitting on our own acres of diamond, and because we fail to tap into our sweet spot, into our thoughts, into our ideas, we end up not experiencing, or we just swap labor for money, and we never ever develop the industry that we were created with, that's inside of us.
Yeah.
And so the question again, I'm not going to stray away from it, is what happens to people who fail to recognize that ring of the importance of financial leadership in their overall life? What happens to them? How do they feel? What are some of the pitfalls that take place as a result of that?
This is an excellent question. And literally, I guess my mind was preparing for it in some form and fashion, and I didn't realize it. So there's a word that you just used, and you used the word called I want, right? People want or people need. I want you to think about something. If you keep saying that you need something, you always need something. If you keep saying you want something, you always want something. It's when we change the language of I intend to do something. So one tweak to this is for anyone who wants to do anything, is when you tweak that one word. I no longer want to eat anything. I intend to do X. No more I want a great business. I intend to create the most powerful Account for Your Life podcast. I intend to create the most powerful financial and leadership coaching program that leads people into a state of not just mental and financial well-being, but into a state of authority in who they are. Like, these are the intentions that I've created for myself, right? And so in creating, when you want to create something, you don't say, I want to create. I intend. This is what I intend to do. So when you say you intend it, then you have to go into a state of meditation and almost like praying without ceasing, because it's always on your mind. You're writing down your notes. Like this morning, I intend. I have an intention about something that I'm creating right now. And I had already had an outline for this coaching program. So I'm at my desk this morning because I was sleeping on the idea all night. Mm-hmm. So guys, this is what's powerful about when you sleep on something that you saw or heard. So what you hear at the end of your night, what you do at the end of the night could have an effect on how you wake up. So my job last night, I said, well, I want to wake up with an idea about this thing. And I went to sleep in a state of just praying about it, just intending. See, the creation process starts with an intention.
Wow.
One of the, I got a lot of training from Grant Cardone, sales leader. He's a mogul when it comes to sales and real estate. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot of sales training from his platform, a few years ago. And one of the big things he taught in his program, he says, you go in with the intention. Wow. He says you should state your intention from the very beginning. And I had stopped doing it. And then it came back to me because intention has been on my mind for the past week or so. And it's like, Jamie, I intend that this at the end of this call, you and I are going to be working together, and you are going to be excited about where we're going. This is my intention. I want to create that. And he teaches that you should just say that up front, because that's what I want to do. So there's no sense in waiting to the end and say, hey, what do you think? No, this is my intention. We're going to work together. Mm-hmm. That's the intention. So when you go in with the intention, instead of, I need to have better finance. I used to say these things. Man, I want to have more money, until I intend to have $50,000 sitting in my basic checking account. Just at least 50. And that's no money. Come on, 50,000 is no money, right? I intend to at least just have that in the basic checking. I intend to have a couple 100,000 over here. I intend to have this. So, but it starts with clearing up all space. And this is what I've been working on this week. If whatever you intend, you got to make room for it. Say that again. I'm going to say that again, because I'm going to show you exactly where I'm at with that. Whatever you intend, you got to make room for it. So I've been going through my house, and I'm looking around like, what's in here that we're not using? I got to get rid of it, and I got to get rid of it fast. Think of it like if you're already backed up, if you got too much stuff. Listen, those of you who want to you intend to have better finances, look around your house and figure out what you're not using. Give it away. Don't sell it. Who was it? Zig Ziglar or one of these guys? No, it's Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor. He says, don't sell it, in the book called You Were Born Rich. Don't sell it. Give it all away. I've been giving away stuff. I got somebody coming past my house tonight. And actually, she come past. I got a keyboard. I got a keyboard that someone gave to us. I said, I'm giving it away for free. Works very good. My kid's not playing it. I don't need it in my house. Come get it. I got a bunch of things I'm just giving away. Come pick it up. It's yours, right? See, you have to make room. I'm making room all in my house for all of the new stuff. I'm creating studio. I'm creating all sorts of things. I'm gonna need tons. I intend to have all the money that I need for these projects, right? But what if I got too much stuff in my house, Jamie? How am I going to get it in? So you got to make room. You got to make room before you do it.
Wow.
Before. So when you make room in your mind, think about your mind now. Think about all the stuff that's going through your mind. You know, you're on social media. You're not watching this strategic alignment podcast. You're watching cat videos. You're watching all sorts of stuff. And then you got all this stuff swirling in your mind. You're trying to think, I'm coming up short. Man, I want my business to grow. Well, you got the wrong stuff in there. You got to clear it out. If you clear out the clutter, and this is one of the things that I'm starting to teach people, right? Because most people, Jamie, they have a desire to be more organized financially. What I've learned over the past few years is that if you were to organize your finances in such a way that you could breathe and you understood them, that would just create so much for you.
Wow.
Everybody wants to knock down, man, if I could just, I just need to, and this is what they say, I just need to fix that. You make the intention and you clear everything out of the way.
Wow.
Because the how, look, remember, you have no control over how it happens. None. Don't get it twisted to think that, if I work harder, it's going to, no, that's not how it works. You just have to make the intention, start creating the person who would have these things, who would be able to manage these things. Got to be able to manage it too.
Wow. So before you go any further, because when you drop sweet stuff, you know how we do it.
Yes,
I got to pause it there.
Absolutely.
So how do you create that person? Because you know what? You know what? You I don't even know how to take this on, but how do you create some of those apartments in your brain or in your life to receive or to create room to take on financial leadership? What are some of the tenets that you need to drop in to make that happen?
Well, it starts with the removal process. You have to remove a lot of things that you already have, because what you have, it's not what you don't notice hurting you, it's what you do notice hurting you. So think about money. If you've learned the bad things about money or the wrong, basically not how not to have money, then that means you're carrying the wrong information. So it's not about getting the new information at this point. Because if you go get the new information and you drop it into an old messed up computer, what's going to happen to the computer's just going to lock up. It's going to lock up like we just put a new program on and I didn't have any memory.
So you're saying to me then, Jay, that some of us, is not that we don't have the right business. It's not that we don't have the right opportunity. It's not that we don't have the right resources, but we are not conditioned and we're too cluttered. So as a result of that, we may be making money, we may be making good financial decisions, but we have a bad system and we're bringing that in. So guess what's going to happen? It's going to crash.
Yeah.
Jay, you're dropping some nuggets here, man. You look.
So just to kind of take that a step further, right? Think of it like this. If you had a glass of water, so I have water, but I have also this drink here. It's just colored because it's got color in it, but it's more of a healthy drink. So I got this drink here, but if it was water, just think of water as clear. Now, if you just leave water all to itself, just sitting, water is going to take in dirt, all sorts of things, because the environment has dirt. So you think if you sat water outside and the wind's blowing, you're going to get dirt. After a while, it's not going to look clear anymore. So you want to think about your mind in the same way. Your mind is like a glass of water. And if you don't clear out, like you got to keep replenishing it with more water, with more clear water. And if you put more clear water in the glass, it's just going to stay clear. But just imagine over the years, if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, how old you are, but you never cleared it out, how dirty you think the water is.
Wow.
So the water's dirty now.
Mm-hmm.
This water is black. Now you got to go from black water to clear water. And it's not like you can just turn it over. You can't just pour it out. You have to pour in new water just constantly, so that at some point it's like it's clear. But if you stop pouring in the water, what's going to happen? It's going to revert back to the way it was. because the dirt always is lurking to come in. So when we want to change our mind about finances, then starts with the intention. What is it that you intend to do? Not what you want. Because look, man, look, we've all heard it. Just say what you want. Like just write down everything that you want. And I've even said these things, right? It hasn't been until I really grasped the not just the idea of it, but started to do it for myself. Because look, at the end of the day, look, I got to test all the theories I'm talking about. There's no longer theory. Yes, I've cleared the whole thing out, and I keep clearing it out. How do I do that? I have a system, right? You have to have a system. I have to do certain things every day. Got to pray. I got to be in silence. So I'm praying. And that's not just praying like this. No, I'm praying sitting here on my desk. I'm praying sitting over at my other chair, just sitting there, just because I'm keeping the source attached to me at all times. So your prayers don't have to be like, oh, let me go to the closet and make a prayer. No, you don't have to do that. You just have to connect yourself to the source. So that's what I do. I stay connected to the source. I'm going into silent times. Every morning I go into silent times, at least for 30 minutes, just in silence. And then at nighttime, I want to take at least 30 minutes at nighttime to really center my thoughts. Plus, I'm going to read something. I'm going to read something that's going to continue to clear out. So I'm going to read some of the word, and I read the same things over and over. So I'm not the kind of person that's got to read the whole Bible and I want to just read no. I did that already. I get that part. They said, or I've heard that if you read something, just one thing, if you read something over and over and over and over and over and over and over, you would literally become whatever that is. So I've got a few scriptures that I read every day. I read Proverbs. I read a proverb every day, right? That was a goal this year. A proverb, a chapter every day. So every month I go through Proverbs now. Since January, been going through Proverbs. You know, it's day 8, right? Every day I'm going through Proverbs. And so you got to create a system. I read some books. I've got Audible. And then I want to go create something, right? I've got a podcast. I create a podcast 3 times a week. I used to do it every day, but just time just doesn't permit. I do it 3 days a week, and stay creating something that's going to help you with what you're doing. Now, it's funny because my podcast isn't on finances. My podcast is on life, but I've become more astute financially doing it.
Wow.
So you don't see, you can indirectly gain wisdom in an area just because you're doing something else. So for me, finances is a part of my work. So I didn't put the focus on my work. I put the focus on, well, what does God want me to be? Let me focus on that guy. And then this other guy, he was like, oh, he says, now you get the picture, son. He says, you get the picture. Oh, look, man, when God first started working with me on this, and, hopefully you guys love God, because I love God. So hopefully y'all love God. So here's the thing. When he took me that direction, it was weird, Jamie. It was really challenging because I felt like, I was like, wait a second, but I want this over here. He's like, son, he says, son, let me show you something. Just keep doing this right here. I'm going to tell you, you won't believe what's going to happen. I couldn't believe it. If he didn't plan it, I would have never done it.
Wow.
So he planned that, and I'm excited.
Wow. That's powerful, Jay. And by doing that, as you're making mention, is that sometimes we think about where we want to go before we work on what God is going to use to take us to where we got to go. And once we work on that, everything else comes in naturally, and we have a greater grasp on it. And my follow-up question to this is, some of us as leaders, we may say that, managing the books, finances is not in our DNA. And I could say that loud and clear because I've had that with you, that guess what? I'm one of those person, hey, that's not my thing. Give me the microphone. Let me chat the mic. You get what I'm saying? Give me the audience. Let me energize them. Give me the group. Let me lead them. But I've found that I've failed miserably when I take that path. So my word is that what advice do you have to people who have that similar mindset to somebody like me? I'm now flushing my mind because I've connected with you and I've had a session with you before. We have met with me and my wife and my business partner, and you've shared with us exactly some steps that we needed to take. And the fact that in essence, you were like, that's a part of your responsibility as a person, not even as a leader. You were saying to me that, Jamie, as a person, financial leadership is a part of the entire makeup. So my question to you, Jay, you've shared it with me before, but what advice do you have to leaders who end up using the fact that they think that finances and financial leadership is not in their DNA? They ignore that side of the business. What do you have to say to them in that realm?
Well, what they're ignoring is something that they don't know, right? So think of it like this. Most people say I'm not an accountant. So you say, well, I'm not an accountant, so that's not my area. And you're absolutely true about it not being your area. You don't have to know what an accountant knows, but you have to know what accountant is doing. I'm going to say that again.
So you got to pull that up.
You don't have to know what an accountant knows, but you have to know what an accountant is doing. Because if you don't know what the accountant is doing, then you won't know what questions to ask. You won't know what to look for, any of these things. So you don't have to be an accountant, but in the beginning of your business at the early stage. And so I've done it both ways, right? So I've done it where, I can coach you to kind of create. And I'm actually going back to a model where I'm going to coach the individual to know what they need to know, right? You need to know all these things and you're going to have to get your hands dirty in the very beginning because you need to know what it feels like to kind of like not have your stuff together. It's nothing like where you could just give it to somebody, and I'll let people do that. You can just give it to us and we'll just take it and do it. But I'm going back to a model where I want to take you through this process of you're messed up. You're messed up. You need to know that. Like, if you go to the doctor's office, the doctor is going to take you through the process, right? He's going to be like, well, so why did you do that? Why were you eating those things? What happened? Well, what made you do this? And he's going to ask you all these questions. You're like, well, dang, well, I know I shouldn't have been eating these things. Well, you're eating those things and he's just going to make you take this medicine. I'm going to have to give you this prescription. So the doctor is kind of walking you through what not to do as well. So the doctor is coaching you, but says, well, you know what? I'll keep giving you the medicine, but that's not really going to last. So an accountant can keep doing it for you, but what'll happen is if you don't really understand what's happening in your business, just because the accountant is doing it, you still may like not get to where you want to go because you didn't understand your numbers. So a person that doesn't want to do it, great. You don't really have to, but you have to know. So what I teach entrepreneurs is to know how the tax code works because it's strategic. If you understand the strategy behind taxes, then you would understand that, oh, shoot, taxes is actually going to help me to build more wealth. That's what taxes can do.
You know what, Jay, I'm going to cut you right here because I grew up in the mindset that taxes is here to take everything from you. And taxes stuff that you need to skirt around. You need to ignore that. You need to, you go to major cities like New York, hear people, oh, that's the best tax person over there. But the best tax person is telling you, how can taxes help leaders as you drop that? And we talk about financial leadership and what you're saying there, just by that one note that you just hit, somebody listening may be saying, you know what, I need to know exactly what is he really saying there? Yeah. Why do we need to know the tax code as leaders and in terms of financial leadership and well-being? And how can we strategize to make it work for us?
This is a great question. And so what I want to do right now is kind of walk people through some basics. And I'm going to walk people through some basics of how the tax system works really quick. It's not going to be like tax code-ish. Um, it's going to be simple. And I'm going to just kind of break it down based on how money flows through the tax system. So there's, I think, 5 levels of being taxed, right? So you got the first level, which is called earned income. Earned income. Everybody knows what earned income is. That's your W-2. That's being an employee. Everybody starts here as an employee. So when you have earned income, there's really no incentives there, right? These days, the way that the tax code is written, that person who has earned income only, you don't have many options when it comes to tax incentives. So, and you tax the highest. Well, tax almost the highest. I'm going to tell you the next highest in just a second. So, person that's an employee, they are taxed almost at the highest rate. Then it's the self-employed earner. Right? Self-employed earner, this is a person who started a business, could be like me or you, started a business, didn't really structure it, or didn't just started earning money. So what happens is that earned income that the self-employed person is making or earning, that's taxed even higher than just earned income. So say say earned income is say 40%, just for the lack of a better word, 40%, then the self-employed is at 55%, right? So let's think about it. Wait a second, 40%, 55%, these are the worst 2 earned income positions in the tax code. And so basically you got wages from income or wages from self-employment, which is basically you own your job. Mm-hmm. And a person that owned their job, a lot of times, you probably earn less money than you did when you were working. So that's kind of crazy. Most people wouldn't take that job. If you were making $100,000 and then now you're only making 10, you're like, well, why'd you take that job? I wouldn't take that job. So that's like the first level. You got this earned income. In tax planning and tax strategy, you want to start moving from earned income to ordinary income. Ordinary income gets rid of employment taxes. So employment taxes are Social Security, Medicare. Those are called employment taxes. Now, when you have a job and you don't have a business, you see that on your pay stub, FICA, Social Security, Med. You see that on there. That's 7.65% of your gross wages is coming out. Your employer pays the other half. The other 7.65. Now, when you become self-employed, you pay the whole 15.3%, up to 16.2%, because Medicare, they can tax you higher. So you got, say, 15.3% additional that you're paying on your earned income. You want to move from earned income to ordinary. Ordinary income, you get rid of that. So you immediately save 15.3% in your taxes. Person says, well, how do I do that? One, that's called business. Like most ordinary income is going to be more like the investment piece of your business. So if you started a business, I'm just going to use one word, S. So I'm going to use the S corporation because that's one of the best strategic tax positions to be in. If you're a solo, small business owner, you want to start here. Like I'm not going to explain it, but if you was doing anything, elect to be an S corporation. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Now, the money net earnings that you earn from your S corporation is now ordinary income, as opposed to when it was your self-employed, that was called self-employment income, and they taxed an additional 15.3%. You don't get the same taxes on that ordinary income. So, but that's you active in the business, but you want to move from ordinary income to passive income. Mm-hmm. Think, what does passive mean? It means, Jamie, we're talking about some passive income. And passive income means that you don't have to trade any more time for money, right? Because taxes work like this. I'm gonna give you another scenario. You are taxed on money anytime you exchange something with somebody else. So if you exchange time for money, you're going to pay taxes. If you exchange service for service, so you bartered, that's taxable. Yes, it's most people won't report it. They say, I'm not going to report that. If they found out you was bartering, they're going to have you get taxed on that, because your service has a value, and then the other person's service has a value. So it's a wash. So if my service was 1,000 and your service was 1,000, it would wash. You wouldn't pay any taxes. But what if my service is 1,000 and then your service was 500? I would technically owe 500 in taxes. So anytime there's a sale or exchange, you're going to pay taxes. We want to move to the place where we want to make that more passive than what we call active. Passive means that I'm just getting paid. I ain't. And the tax rates are lower for people who have passive income, right? It's just lower. It's like 20%, You get lower taxes for passive income, And when so you've heard things like capital gains and things of that nature. Capital gains, 20% is the tax rate. So, something like it's probably going to go up now, but that's what it was, up to 20. And that's good because ordinary income is up to 40%. Capital gain taxes is only up to 20%. Look at the difference here. So if someone is basically in the capital gains arena where they're selling assets, right? They're selling businesses, or they're selling real estate, or they're selling stocks and things of that nature. The capital gain tax is way lower than ordinary income.
Wow.
So one of the things that I teach in the Tax-Free Wealth Challenge is you want to go from a state of just being an employee to converting yourself. You want to convert yourself all through the process to start eliminating as much taxes as possible. You eliminate through the process earned income, ordinary income, passive income. Then you got one called non-taxable income. Now, think about what I just said. Non-taxable
income.
Where you could have income and pay no taxes on it. Wow. How does that happen?
So how many leaders or business owners or entrepreneurs know about this stuff?
A small number. Small. Well, because most people don't take taxes serious. Now, they take it serious they will be compliant. Oh, I just got a tax bill. They're going to pay their taxes. They'll make a payment plan if they need to, or whatever. So they're serious about going through the process, but they may not be serious about going through the process to start the elimination of taxes. Which, think of it like this: if you're going to eliminate, if you're a high earner, and so we use high earners, someone who's doing 500,000 to $1 million, right? And it costs you $20,000, right? If it costs you $20,000 to work with professionals, all they did was help you to eliminate, and then you eliminate $100,000 of taxes that year. That was an investment. Think of it now. You just invested $20,000, and now your return on investment was fourfold. You got back $80,000 in basically tax savings when you invest. It happens on a smaller level too. So let's think about it. Maybe you only earned $50,000 profit in your business, and there was an opportunity to save you $10,000. And this is where I help a lot of small businesses, where they could be looking at writing a check for $10,000, $12,000, and when they engage with me, it just depends on when they engage. Like, so I got a client recently. I engaged with her. My eyes got big. I was like, oh, I'm glad you contacted me. Woo! Saved like $12,000.
Wow.
You don't have to make a lot of money to save money in taxes. It's just that, think of it like this. Remember the self-employment thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're paying 55%, or if you're paying even 30%, if you could now cut that in half or cut that, by 60%, then it's worth the investment. Yeah, you save 12, you paid 4. That's a great investment, right? Because you didn't have to pay the IRS. But a lot of times people look at, well, how much is this going to cost me again? Well, it's going to cost you $12,000 if you don't work with me.
Wow.
That's what it's going to cost you. Yeah.
Look, them some nuggets. I know I cut you off just now, but I I would like for you to jump back on that piece, because I just heard, my style. I hear something and I had to pull it out. You were on a trend there. If you want to just go back there and
I'm gonna go back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back. So you're going from passive, right? You want to go from passive to how can I have this non-taxable type income? So real estate is one of these arenas that there's a lot of tax incentives around real estate. And I just got off the phone with a brand new client just today. We just got hooked up, and I'm talking to her, and she knew about this one tax rule, right? Where you live in the house for 2 years, you sell it, and you pay no capital gains on the tax. That's called non-taxable income. You could make it up to $250,000. Think about this. You can earn up to $250,000. If you're married, you could earn up to $500,000 when you sell that piece of property free and clear. No one's coming to talk to you. What the IRS is saying, look, go live in a house for 2 years. Don't live there all your life. That's what the IRS is telling you to do. Why do they tell us to live in a house all our life? No, the real estate is an investment. It's not for you to just stay living there. Dude, I'm gonna tell you, it's like, so when you make an investment in real estate, you got to always know, why am I doing this? What's my intention? Right? So if most people buy houses, like, man, I'm gonna buy a house, my first time buying a house. Me too. I got caught up in the first time home buyers and buying a house when I should have been like, well, I'm gonna buy this house, live in it for 2 years. I'm gonna make $100,000.
Just like that.
I'm gonna make $100,000. I'm gonna take some of it. And buy another piece of property. I'm gonna buy another, or here's another non-taxable one for you. Most people do this all the time. Oh, let me refinance my house, right? Think about this. There's no sale or exchange happening when you refinance. You're just now saying, well, I bought the house for 100, it's worth 200. I go to the bank, let me get 75 of that. They're giving you your proceeds in advance. You don't ever have to pay taxes on that money if you never sell.
Wow.
This is why the rich never sell their assets, because they refinance them, and they keep them, and they keep renting them because I ain't sell it. I'm just keeping it in the family. I'm not going to sell it. Because they're able to reap the rewards on all sides. So real estate is a great way to start your wealth, but you don't go in buying a house. Look, I got caught up in the first time home buyer. So I'm gonna tell you, I did the first time home buyer, bought a house just to buy a house. But if I had to do it all over again, I would buy a house strategically. Mm-hmm. With an intention. I intend to gain wealth from this house, which means that if I buy it and I live in it, that means in 2 years, maybe my plan is to sell it. But maybe I'm just going to buy the house, my first house. I'm not even going to live in it. I'm going to go ahead and rent it out. I'm going to buy 5, 6, 7 properties before I even buy myself a house. Why? You're creating passive income. Think of it. Real estate, you're having passive income. Well, forget buying a house. Man, if I just had 100,000, if I have 100,000 in cash, 200,000 in cash, a lot of people got that sitting in their 401ks doing nothing with it. Let me go buy a building that has 32 doors in it. 32 pieces of property in one property, giving you passive flow. No one taught us how to do this, Jamie.
Wow.
Now, I had to discover it just from digging into the tax code. I was like, that's what the taxes want us to do. The tax code is an incentive plan. I'm gonna say that again for everybody listening. The tax code is an incentive plan. It's almost 6,000 pages in the tax code. There's like 30 something pages on income. The rest of it, Jamie, is on deductions.
Wow. Well, look, guys, you're hearing, look, I'm telling you, the Strategic Alignment podcast we have in here, Jay Moore, and he's telling us some simple things, simple but so profound that could just change the way we do things as leaders, change the way we lead in finances, and just change the way we think. But I think something he said earlier that while I'm getting excited here based on what he's sharing with me, what I'm also mindful of is that he said that the information is not good unless we prepare our minds to receive it and to use it. And that's just one part of the ring of it. And that's the reason why so many of us have the tax codes and we have never, ever read it. We have the acres of diamond, we are sitting on it and we have never, ever used it. And we end up living lives, starting business, and saying what we want instead of saying that I intend on doing certain things. We have people accounting for our wealth, but we never ever know what they are doing. And because of that, we just sit back and we enjoy failing just for failing's sake when we could be doing better things. It's just remarkable. And I know that we don't have much time left with Jay Moore here, but we have about 2 or 3 questions I'm going to sneak in here.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
And the first one, Jay, is that you've shared about that young lady that you've worked with, one of your new clients and stuff like that. You know, how do you manage your finances as a leader when you're faced with hardship? And sometimes when we're faced with hardship, we are quick to do what seems to be the easiest path. And we know one of the hardships that many business leaders are facing now, entrepreneurs, is COVID. Yeah. How do you still manage? How do you balance managing financial leadership when you're faced with hardship? How do you still end up doing the right things, even though you're tempted to do the easy things?
This is something that I faced just today. And I say that in a way because we all wake up every day with things to do, right? I want you to think about this. And you could have a mountain of things to do. And this morning, my intention was this. I have a mountain of things to do. I said, but the one thing I know I have to do is I have to look at this brand new coaching program that I'm creating. Mm-hmm. My intention was to spend time working on it this morning because I knew that the day was going to come and it was going to snatch my time at some point. So the thing about focus and concentration is that just think of it like this. If you're focused on something, then you can see it. But as soon as you veer off just a little bit, does it take you to where you want to go? Mm-hmm. No. It doesn't have to. Listen, when you just go just a tiny hair off of where you were going, if we were going somewhere and say and I love to use this analogy. If we was going to New York, I live in DC, Maryland area. If I was going to New York, it's north. But if I decided that while I'm driving my car on 495, that I decided to just not drive straight anymore, but drive just a hair over, where am I going to wind up? I'm going to be on the other side of the road. I'm going to be going somewhere not to New York. So one of the biggest things that this is for anybody. I don't care. You don't need a business. You have to just say, wait a second, what do I want? So I'm using want because most of us got to start with what I want. You're probably not going to get to intention first because you got to get to the wants. You got to get to what do I want? Like, so you have to really know what it is that you want to strive for. So if you know what you want to strive for, like I know what I want to strive for. I'm going to tell you what I want to strive for. And I realized that for the job that I have to do, yes, I'm already wealthy. Like I'm going to have hundreds and hundreds of millions at my fingertips. I'll manage plenty of money. I ain't worried about that. What I had to get out of, Jamie, is the syndrome of, man, if I don't get no money today, man, oh my goodness, man, things just not gonna work, man. I'm gonna tell you, look, I'm gonna give you a true story. It was the summer of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, it happens. Sometimes what seems to be kind of, it's only almost 3 years now, but that feels like a lifetime to me. The summer of 2018. My wife had been home coming on 2 years. And it just felt like we weren't moving at the pace that we wanted. Use that word. We was always wanting this and wanting that. Our attentions wasn't always aligned. Strategic Alignment Podcast. That's why this is so important. So we weren't always aligned with what it is that we wanted. Think about it. I want to have $1 million business. But are you doing $1 million business things? If you're not, have you invested money into having $1 million business? No one's giving you $1 million business for free. I'm gonna say it again. No one's giving you $1 million business for free. It at least could cost you $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if it doesn't have to cost you $1 million, are you willing to spend $100,000 for that $1 million business? That would be a good investment, right, Jamie?
Mm-hmm.
If all we had to spend was $100,000 to get $1 million business, wouldn't you do it?
Mm-hmm.
You got to make the investment up front. You do not get it before you make the investment.
Wow.
But Jay, I don't have the money yet. You don't need the money. You have to make the intention. You have to decide. I decided I didn't have all the money. I couldn't work with every coach I wanted to work with, Jamie. But do you know when got their books? I went and bought books. I spent. See, this is the part that most people don't want to know about. You don't want to know that I had to stop watching TV. I had to stop watching shows. I had to stop playing the game that I love, basketball. I had to stop hanging out. I had to stop wanting to have fun all the time. I wanted what I wanted. Jamie, man, I wanted to make a difference in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Look, at the end of the day, that's what I wanted. Then it was like, well, right now you kind of empty, son.
You want it. The one is not getting it to you.
So no longer want it, son. How bad? Think about it. Once you decide you want something, don't you know that it's going to actually get hard at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Something's going to happen where it's just like, well, that's what he said he wanted. Let's see. Let's just bring this around. Let's see if he can handle this right here. And that's where you get obstacles. Obstacles come because you said you wanted to do something, or obstacles come because you started aligning yourself with the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
So we could easily, and I've done this one back in 2018, I was always thinking about what wasn't in my bank account.
Wow.
Man, the money's not coming in, man. Man, I don't have enough money. Oh, look, I've been saved from foreclosure many times. Not because I did something good. God himself was like, man, I can't let you lose your house, man. So I'm going to make sure. So, listen, one time the mortgage company just wrote us and just says, hey, look, this is what we're going to do for you. We didn't even talk to them. Mm-hmm. This is how messed up I was in my mind. But God was just like, well, I'm not going to let you lose your house. All right, cool. So he set things in motion. This is back then. And then I'm worrying about the money. And then God just says, all right, look, this is what I need you to do, son. Just start thinking it's already in there. But it's not. So I'm saying this because this is the part that many of us don't want to do. Remember, successful people are only different because they did something you didn't do.
Wow.
That's the only difference between a successful person and a person that's not successful. They just did something you didn't do. But they don't look any different. They don't talk any different. Sometimes, man, I was talking to a good friend of mine, because one of my natural gifts is I could cut hair when I was 13. Mm-hmm. Never got training, just started cutting hair, professional barber all my life. Mm-hmm. So friends at my house getting his hair cut about 6 months ago. And he was talking to me and he says, man, Jay, I got to tell you this story. He says, man, I met Master P. He was telling me how he met Master P. And he says, man, look, he says, Jay, I got to be honest, man. He ain't smarter than nobody, man. Man, he says, man, he could not believe that person was the person who had done all the things that he done.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was listening to him like, yo, this is because he got street slang and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't believe all the success that he had. But remember what I just said: successful people do things that other people don't do. Master P sold 100,000 records out of his trunk of his car.
Mm-hmm.
He was
extra mile.
He intended to sell everything. He intended not to have a record label string him up and take all his money. He intended to be wealthy. He intended using the only thing he had was his hustle. And that hustle has created, remember, he created through his intention. He didn't just haphazardly become the person that he is. He created, no matter what his background is. So nobody is smarter than anybody. We got to get that out of our minds, because we always want to, man, if I'm sitting here comparing myself to you, man, I didn't do my stuff like Jamie, man. My podcast stuff don't look as good as his, man. Oh my goodness, man. This is what people do when they come to social media. They start comparing themselves. We are all valuable. We are all worth more than what we've put the value on. So your finances, come on, man. When God says, look, just think about your bank account as whatever I put in there for you to do what I need you to do. You think I'm not going to pay for what I need? And when I got that, I said, okay, all right. So I'm going to try something. Every time I start having this weird, because I used to get this, man, I'm going to tell you, I had this feeling that would come over me, and like I knew it. And literally it changed to where I don't check bank accounts anymore. I mean, I know what's over there, but I got to the point where I'm just like, I'm focused. I'm intending on doing something that's creating the value.
It's going to come.
That will flood what's ever supposed to come into those accounts.
That's powerful. So once you put your mind to it, you keep doing it, it will come. It will come. God, look, Jay, I'm telling you that I'm getting messages like crazy. Look, you have, wow. The last time I sat with you on Sunday, you messed my head up. You get what I'm saying? You had me up all night. And now you're going to have me up all week, because of what you just shared here. But this is powerful, ladies and gentlemen, people who are listening and watching and listening to replay, the Strategic Alignment Podcast. We have in the building the man himself, the CEO and the founder of the Healthy Accountant, helping you to account for your life. Jay Moore, licensed CPA with over 20 years of experience, and he continues to impact lives in terms of making the right financial leadership decisions and showing you that the tax code can help to take you on the road to the success path that you need. And Jay, before we even wrap this up, look, Jay, I'd like for you to share with those who are listening where they can find you, how they can connect with you. Say a little bit about your podcast, a little bit about what you offer online, your business, your different areas. I tune into Jay in the mornings just to get my fill. And if I miss the fill, I go back in the middle of the day and I take some nuggets from what he shared. But Jay, talk to us.
Man, I appreciate the opportunity, Jamie. So for you, the listener, before I kind of tell you like where to find me and all that good stuff, how I can help you, I really just want to get to the crux of the matter. And the crux of the matter, the reason why we all seem to come up short, and I say all of us because it wasn't until, I surrendered like everything that I am to become the person that I'm supposed to be. Right. I wouldn't be on this podcast if I'd never done it. I wouldn't even have the knowledge, the wisdom. This wisdom is not mine. I don't own it. I've not created anything. Like all these words came from books and stories and, an experience that I personally had to go through to get to this point. And so you, the listener, the person that's sitting there and you're saying to yourself, man, I want to change, man, I want to do, man, I really want to discover, who I really am. And I say, will the real you stand up? Like, because The real you is still trying to figure out when can they get in the game. And the real me was sitting on the sidelines for 40 years. And for me, 40 years was the first life that I lived. And it's been 9 years. And what's happened in 9 years is that my life has been transformed. See, at this point in my life, it's now time for people who hear the message that I have, which is account for your life. That is in essence what I was born to do. Yeah, taxes, finances, those are a means to bring people to a platform. So God gives us all a platform. He gave me finances. He says, son, I'm going to teach you finances. I'm going to teach you finances because you represent prosperity. That's in my name, right? My name's spelled Japheth, Japheth. The meaning of it is prosperity. The meaning of it is, opportunities. I'm always seeking out opportunities, enlargement of territory. When I found out the meaning of my name, because I did not study this, I found out the meaning of my name February of 2020. I'm going to say that again. Was 2020 a good year? It was the best year of my life. February of 2020, when the world was starting to shut down, God led me to me. He says, look at you, son. You've been walking around. You always felt like you should have more because you are.
Ooh.
You are, is what he said. He says, your name said it from the beginning. Your parents didn't even know why they named you that name. They named you that name because I told them to, and they didn't know why. They couldn't tell you why you were born. But then when he says, son, when you start calling yourself the healthy accountant, and then when you start telling people that you're going to help people account for their life, where'd you think that came from? I said, I didn't know where it came from. And he says, that is why you were born. You are going to help people to go from where they are in their life to wherever it is that they want to go. But here's where you're going to go. See, everything leads back to him. I don't have to read a Bible story to you. Nope. Don't have to read. I don't have to do any of those things. But what we have to do is we got to make a choice, and we've got to decide. We've got to make the intention of discovering the unique person that you are. And that's called having, a grasp on your own personal authority. So my personal authority is in the Account for Your Life movement, which has finances, business, all these things, but that is what it is. So you, the listener, you now get to go back after this is over, take some quiet time and say, you know what, who am I? Like, what was I created to do? Who am I really supposed to be? If you ask yourself those 3 questions and you keep asking, you'll get the answers. That's not for me. I'm not going to lead you to the answers. I'm just going to lead you down a path. I can lead you down a path that will lead you to the source. And the source will teach you. The source will share with you everything that you need to know. So that is what you can do today. Yes, you can find me at thehealthyaccountants.com. Yes, you can find me on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, iTunes, at the Account for Your Life podcast. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram, The Healthy Accountant. I'm on Twitter as well, The Healthy Accountant. YouTube, Healthy Accountant. So you can find me. If you just Google The Healthy Accountant, you'll find me, and helping early stage entrepreneurs, preferably if you're mission driven. I say preferably because, look, at the end of the day, when you get led to yourself, you become mission driven. So if you're already mission driven, then that's great. But if you're not, you will become mission driven if you hang around, what we're doing long enough. And so, yes, you can connect with us. And we've got a upcoming tax-free wealth challenge. The tax-free wealth challenge is coming up. It starts April the 19th. You can actually go to the page now, taxfreewealthchallenge.com. You can get to the challenge as well from thehealthyaccountants.com. You can register for the challenge. It starts on April the 19th. That's coming up in about 10 days. And, we work for 5 days. We share with you tips and tricks, the strategies behind taxes a little bit more in depth than, obviously a lot more in depth than what we kind of went into tonight. Just teaching you what you should know about taxes as an early stage entrepreneur so that you could create the business of your dreams. Your business is about your dreams. So if you start with a dream, you will have the stamina to get through all the stuff you got to do when it comes to taxes.
Wow, guys, you hear there, Jay Moore on Strategic Alignment Podcast, and we say if it's done nice once, you got to do it twice. And we'll be having Jay Moore back in this fashion, because I'm telling you, Jay, that was just some great information. You just step by step, you went detail, you went wide, you went high, and you just let us know that as leaders, we have to take our finances seriously, but it starts with us accounting for our lives first. And then we account for one of the rings that makes up that entire thing that surrounds us like an onion in terms of shelling away to the core of who we are.
Yes.
There you have it, guys. We have the man himself in the building with us on another Strategic Alignment podcast. Please feel free to subscribe to Pottingers and Associates podcast on YouTube, and follow us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and Instagram, on the gram. And hopefully when Jay drops the next few stuff, we're going to be having it on our page so you could follow. If you have any questions, reach out to me. If you want to see some more stuff with Jay, check his page out. He was on Sunday Prep. He has bucket loads of goodies to offer people who are looking to grow in all aspects of their life. So guys, thank you for joining us again. I'm Jamie Pottinger, speaker, coach, and trainer, talent optimization expert with Pottingers and Associates. And this is where we say quitters bounce and winners bounce back and follow through. Thank you guys for joining us, and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for listening to the Strategic Alignment Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe to our podcast by visiting our website at www.pottingerandassociatesconsulting.com.